control in cassava can be done manually, mechanically, culturally, or chemically by using herbicides. Chemical weed control involves the use of herbicides which may be pre-emergent or post-emergence. Pre-emergence herbicides are herbicides that are applied before the weeds emerge, while post-emergence herbicides are those that are applied on the field after the weeds emerge.
On this farm, what we have used is it's an integrated approach where we are using the crop canopy because of the population and density, and then the chemistry, which is the herbicide. What we're doing now is having farmers test on their own the technology we have developed. For example, we have looked at agronomy and we have picked certain variety. We have picked certain cropping system, for example, tillage, certain cassava population. We also now have certain chemistries. By chemistries, I mean herbicides that we integrate with these options from the agronomy trial. We're also looking at weeding with machines. So what you have here is one of the plots we have in the country. Currently, we have 134 plots in 4 states. So this is one of them where we're testing a herbicide called FIAS, which is a pre-emergence for weed control in cassava. We're also testing post-emergence herbicide, but here we have only put the pre-emergence because the pre-emergence is so good that it has lasted for 10 weeks and we didn't need to put the post-emergence.
The technologies the project is pushing is to ensure that weeds are reduced in cassava fields. And these technologies are working. We have seen this project has been on for 4 years now. This is the 4th year. The first 2 years we were in the on station. Last year, 2016, we were on farm, but researcher managed. And this year we are on farm also, but farmer managed demonstrations on farmers' fields. Farmers taking the lead in ensuring that this project is successful. There's a lot of knowledge transfer to farmers in the area of good land preparation, in the area of plant spacing, plant population, fertilizer application, as well as safe use of herbicides and proper use of herbicides on these farms.
Professor Kelene further reveals that acceptability of this project by farmers will address the weed control problems.
Impact here is that you are going to get enhanced yield. For example, we have seen that with what we're doing now, we more than double the crop in cassava root yield. The national yield average in Nigeria is between 8 and 10 tons per hectare. But from our research work, we have seen yield increases from 19 tons to 35 tons.
Farmers should note that the efficacy of any pre-emergence depends on good land preparation. For example, if perennial weeds, especially rhizomatous, tuberous, or tufted weeds are not killed during land preparation, a good pre-emergence herbicide may fail. For maximum efficacy, pre-emergence herbicides should be applied on the day after planting, or at most 2 days after planting.
A pre-emergent herbicide is a herbicide you apply to your farm on the soil immediately after planting, when the weeds are not there yet. So what you do is to prevent the weeds from coming out, but allowing your crops to come out and get a head start before the weeds emerge. A post-emergence is what you put on the weeds themselves. They are specific to certain crops. You may have, for example, this cassava field and then a maize field. There are certain post-emergence that are required in those systems. You don't just use any type of post-emergent. So they will kill the weeds and they will leave your crop alone. But you have to put it on the crop, not on the soil. There are post-emergents that you use to kill every type of weed. For example, it kills the crop and it kills the weed. So you have to be very careful which one of them you're using. So what we have done is to look at various post-emergent herbicides and to see which one is appropriate for cassava if you're planting cassava alone, and which one is appropriate if you are mixing your cassava and your maize together.
The demonstrations are farmer-led. Farmers will keep records of the farm activities and share these records with the nominated authorized representative from the weed control team from the IITA.
How do we work with the extension service providers, both in public and also in private sector? And we have done that quite well with the Oyo State ADP for Oyo State. For Benue, we are working with the Benada, that is the Benue State ADP. For Abia, we are working with the Abia ADP, and with Ogun, we are working with the Ogun State ADP. We also recognize the role of the private extension service providers, and here we are working with the Dominican Center, for instance. We are working with the Justice Development and Peace Movement in Oyo and also in Abeokuta. And in Abia, we are working with COPIC. They are also into dissemination.
Cassava is planted at various times of the year, depending on the agroecology. April to May for early season, and August to October for late season in the rainforest. May to June for early season, and August to early October for late season in the savanna. It's expected that this new technology in weed control will help farmers improve their productivity, earnings, standard of living, and ultimately their livelihood. Experts believe that the combination of good agronomy with improved seeds and proper weed control will result in high yields.
Agriculture in Africa is poised to remain one of the most important economic sectors, accounting for around 25% of the continent's GDP. Over 60% of Africans rely on agriculture for some form of income. With this new technology, experts believe that acceptability of this innovation will not only reduce resources spent on weed control on their farmlands, but improve their standard of living and ultimately increase their yields. That's it on EarthCard. Join us again next week for another edition. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwago.